I never believed in curses until the day I stepped onto that ancient bridge. I still remember the chill that ran down my spine as I approached the structure at dusk, a time when the fading light mixed with the lingering mist. I had heard stories about the bridge for years, a tale of a 300-year-old curse that doomed anyone who dared to cross it after midnight. That night, driven by a mix of curiosity and skepticism, I decided to see for myself if there was any truth behind the legend. I was walking home after a long day at work when I took a detour through the old part of town. There, hidden among decaying buildings and overgrown ivy, lay the bridge. Its weathered stones and rusted iron rails whispered secrets of the past. The locals had long since abandoned this place, leaving only memories and rumors behind. I was not the type to heed warnings, so I pressed on. With every step, my heart pounded louder, as if urging me to turn back, yet something within me could not resist the allure of the unknown. As I neared the bridge, the air grew colder and the silence more profound. I could almost hear the echo of footsteps from those who had crossed it before me. I paused at the edge, staring into the dark abyss beneath the arched structure. The river below, usually a calm and gentle presence, now seemed like a restless serpent lurking in the shadows. I took a deep breath and stepped onto the bridge, my senses alert to every creak and groan from the old wood and stone. The moment I set foot in the middle of the bridge, a strange energy filled the air. I felt as if unseen eyes were watching my every move. The wind picked up, carrying with it a faint whisper that I could not quite understand. I told myself it was just my imagination, a trick of the mind fueled by old legends and eerie surroundings. But as the minutes passed, the whispers grew louder, almost as if they were calling my name, urging me to listen. I felt a compulsion to lean forward and peer over the edge, hoping to catch a glimpse of what lay beneath. Instead, I saw flickering lights dancing in the darkness along the far side of the riverbank. Curiosity got the better of me, and I slowly made my way toward those lights. With each step, the temperature dropped further, and the sounds of the night seemed to fade into a heavy silence. When I finally reached the spot where the lights were brightest, I found an old lantern, its flame still flickering despite the cold wind. It was as if time itself had paused around that object. I knelt down and reached out to touch it, wondering how it could still burn after all these years. At that moment, the whispering voices swirled around me, filling the silence with a mix of sorrow and warning. They spoke of lost souls and a punishment that had been carried through centuries. I stood up quickly, clutching the lantern as if it were a lifeline. I felt a strong urge to run, yet I was rooted to the spot by a strange fascination. The voices seemed to beckon me deeper into the darkness, drawing me into a world that existed just beyond the veil of reality. I realized that I was no longer just an observer of an old legend. I had become a part of it. The lantern's flame began to burn brighter, casting eerie shadows on the walls of the bridge. I watched in awe and terror as shapes formed in the flickering light, their outlines blurry and indistinct. Was it a trick of the flame, or were these apparitions from another time? I remembered the stories I had heard from old-timers in the town, tales of people who crossed the bridge and were never the same again. Some said the curse was a punishment for ancient sins, a way for the past to reach out and claim the present. Others whispered that the bridge was a gateway to a realm of eternal torment, where souls were trapped for all eternity. I could feel the weight of history pressing down on me, as if I were carrying the burdens of all those who had come before. The lantern's light began to flicker erratically, and I felt an overwhelming sense of dread. The voices grew louder, and I could now make out words that chilled my heart. Return. Return now. They were pleading, warning me that it was not yet my time to cross into the unknown. In that moment, I remembered the words of a friend who had warned me about the dangers of meddling with things beyond our understanding. I had always thought such superstitions were mere folklore, but now I realized that some stories are born out of real encounters with the inexplicable. I clutched the lantern tighter and took a step back toward the middle of the bridge, away from the beckoning lights. The air around me seemed to vibrate with energy, and the shadows danced as if they were alive. I felt a presence behind me and spun around, half expecting to see a figure shrouded in darkness. Instead, I saw nothing but the empty night and the silent river below. I decided it was time to leave. The curse was real, and I had just experienced a glimpse of its power. As I began my walk back, the whispers subsided, replaced by a heavy silence that felt like the world holding its breath. The lantern's flame diminished slowly until it was nearly extinguished, leaving me with only the memory of that strange encounter. I kept looking back over my shoulder as I retraced my steps, feeling the weight of unseen eyes watching me until I reached the safety of the town. Back at home, I sat in silence trying to make sense of what had happened. I felt a mixture of relief and lingering fear. The experience on the bridge had changed me in a way I couldn't yet understand. It was as if the encounter had opened a door in my mind, revealing a reality that lay hidden beneath the surface of everyday life. The curse, the voices, and the flickering lights had left an indelible mark on my soul. I knew I would never be able to look at the world in the same way again. The legends were not just stories meant to scare children or entertain ghost hunters. They were warnings from a time long past, reminding us that some mysteries are best left unexplored. In the days that followed, I found myself drawn back to the old part of town. Even though I promised myself I would never return to the bridge, I began to research its history, searching for answers in old records and whispered accounts from local elders. I learned that the bridge had been built over a river that was once considered sacred, a place where rituals were performed to appease the spirits of the land. Over time, those rituals were forgotten, and the bridge became a symbol of a broken pact between the living and the dead. The curse, they said, was the result of that forgotten promise, a punishment for the neglect of the old ways. This revelation only deepened my sense of unease. I felt that by stepping onto the bridge, I had inadvertently disturbed a delicate balance, inviting forces that were far beyond my control. I tried to convince myself that it was all just a matter of ancient folklore, a collection of exaggerated tales passed down through generations. Yet every night when I closed my eyes, I could still hear the distant whispers, see the dancing shadows, and feel that cold presence looming just beyond the edge of my vision. I began to wonder if the bridge was a kind of mirror, reflecting back the fears and regrets of those who dared to cross it. Was it truly a gateway to hell, or merely a manifestation of our deepest anxieties? I did not have the answers, and perhaps I never would. But one thing was clear: the bridge had changed me. I no longer felt safe in the comfort of my everyday life, knowing that there were forces in the world that defied explanation. Over time, I learned to live with the memories of that night. Though the fear never completely faded, I became more cautious, more respectful of the stories and warnings that had once seemed like mere superstition. I started to share my experience with a few trusted friends, not to frighten them, but to offer a glimpse into a world that exists alongside our own. A world where ancient curses and lingering spirits remind us of our own mortality. I hoped that by telling my story, others might heed the warnings and avoid the same fate. I have no idea if I will ever return to that bridge, or if its curse will ever claim another victim. But I know one thing: once you have seen what lies beneath the surface of our everyday reality, you can never unsee it. The bridge, with its eternal curse, serves as a constant reminder that there are places in this world where the past never dies, and where the line between life and death remains forever blurred.